Welcome to Strong Personalities. This is your host, Johnny here. I am here with the hilarious, the media guy for Strongman Corp, Chris Matos. Chris, we've tried to get this started, I think 5 times now. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastical. Thank you very much for asking.
So right now we are officially 7 days post Arnold. How are you feeling?
I feel like I finally have slept enough to recover from Friday. So like we're in a pretty good place now. So I just have to recuperate from the rest of the weekend.
Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. Oh man. So what are give me some of your initial thoughts of the Arnold? Because I know this is the first time that Strongman Corporation did 3 shows, which included the Pro-Am, the inaugural Masters, and the Firefighter show, World's Strongest Firefighter.
Yeah, I think, overall, for me anyways, I feel like the weekend went all right, considering all the new things that we're trying to add in there and all the moving parts for that. It's not like I'm not a pessimist or anything like that, but I do know that, when you're incorporating new things, sometimes there can be complications. So, honestly, I left kind of feeling good about it. I know that might sound weird, but, Friday went really well. And then we came into Saturday and, we fell behind and there were a lot of issues that kind of mounted over time, but we managed to finish. We managed to get a really solid group of people together towards the end of the day, tons of people stepping in. And it was just, for me, Saturday was reflective of the community in general around Strongman. And I felt it was a really powerful message because we were dead in the water. It felt like kind of at one point, it was moving real sluggish. And we just had 5, 6, 7, 8 people all just jump in, competitors that had already competed, people that were completely unrelated to the show, and they just jumped in to help out of nowhere just to help out with the show. And I can't think of anything that encapsulates like Strongman more than somebody walking by essentially and being like, you guys look like you're struggling, you need some help, and just hopping in and doing physical labor for another 4 or 5 hours, right?
Yeah, it was resetting close to a ton of weight, literally a ton of weight in every heat.
Yeah, man. One of the things that people that have not run a show before, that have not been involved in volunteering for a show before, maybe don't quite understand, is that the in-betweens add up really fast. And so, yoke is one of these things, for example, where this is the Arnold. So we had the weight on kind of the upper end, obviously. So it was challenging. And you saw that with our lightweights and middleweights. Some of the guys did not finish the yoke. So it happens. But what you're not thinking about is when we're trying to fit so many competitors in a 60-minute window, and you have to prep the floor to get it ready to begin with. And then you have to give people time to, come out and go stand by their yoke and tighten their belt and everything else and get underneath it. And then they have to go and they have 60 seconds to finish the event. And then on top of that, maybe they only make it halfway. So now you have 750 pounds sitting 40 feet away from the starting line. And, if we're running 4 yokes, you're having 2 hands per yoke usually because you have to do the resets for height adjustments and everything else. So you're asking 2 people over and over and over and over again to go get a yoke that is probably already really heavy for them to begin with, and then bring it back to the line, set it up perfectly, adjust the heights, and have the next person go. And it's not that it's impossible. It's just that it's a lot. So,
and just to add a little context for maybe some of the people that weren't there. So Friday was just the firefighter prelims. Right. And then on Saturday, you had 2 competitions going at the same time. You had the Pro-Am prelims and then the firefighter finals on the main stage. So some of the volunteers that were already helping on the firefighter show the day before got pulled to the firefighter finals. And I think when we were talking before this, we accounted for 9 total people that got pulled from the Pro-Am show right around after the first session. Because I remember I was loading up until the sandbag event was getting set up for the lightweight division. So that was 9 people that got pulled at the same time over there. So it was a tremendous effort that was shown by the volunteers and everybody that was helping out, because this included like the Iron Vision media team. I forgot his name, but the gentleman that was helping us with the Excel sheets, because the Excel sheets actually helped me as an MC be able to start calling out names quicker to have the athletes prepared better. And then again, us pushing through until 9 p.m. on Saturday, trying to get as many events as possible. But I agree what you're saying about like, this was a great learning experience for the first time running 3 shows. And then for next year, I'm sure y'all already have fixes and plans on how to improve the show, and then maybe even different setups and so on. What I want to know is, what does putting something of this scale, like the Arnold, like Nationals, what does that process look like?
Well, I do not do the same work as James, obviously. And as hopefully everybody here knows already, James is the owner, president of Strongman Corporation now. What I do know is that there's a ton that goes in through this, just from starting of finding venues for these things. The Arnold is special in and of the fact that the Arnold already has the Columbus Convention Center. So they're providing us with an amount of space that they designate we can have at that show to put it on, right? So then after you have the space, it's just all about planning out the space, figuring out what events are going to go where, figuring out, what volunteers you're going to have. But it sounds simple until you're starting to get down to the nitty gritty of who's doing what, how many plates need to be where, what equipment has to be where, how many of each thing that you need, how much space do you need for warm-ups, stuff like that, right? So for the Arnold, at least you already have the venue. I know that when James is, and I only know this from my time with Dion, but when you're trying to find like a national level event, they actually have these meetings with people from all over the country that kind of come together and talk about different towns that are looking to bring events to them in order to stimulate the economy locally. And so Nationals for us is a big enough event that whenever you're booking these places, a lot of times cities will kind of like almost sponsor the event to come there by giving you a huge discount on a venue or something like that. It's different everywhere. But that's how a lot of those things are made possible, because you can say, hey, I'm bringing 300 people here to compete. Plus I have all of their relatives. We're going to bring thousands of people into this area. What can we, can you guys help us out with anything? Right. Something like, and then, there's still going to probably end up being costs for using the facility. At the Arnold, World's Strongest Firefighter has been very clearly very important to Arnold himself. He comes to the finals every year. He likes to be there for it. He loves that competition. And so Strongman Corporation runs the competition. It's kind of like Arnold's baby almost, yes. Right? Which is really awesome, because it's been really focused on like giving back to first responders and showcasing them in a different way than they otherwise normally get. So it's very, very cool how it's done. And then, we have our own show there as well. But, it's not like the Arnold doesn't just give you that space straight up. One of the reasons why we haven't had a live stream until this year is because of costs. I mean, it was like $6,000 or $7,000 to have internet over the weekend to stream the Arnold. And
I saw James talk about that on the Reddit forum for the Arnold. So right. Probably him for answering all those questions.
Yeah, and that's it's a really big thing that I wish more people understood, because I've competed for a while. I love competing. I understand how badly somebody wants a live stream to happen, right? These convention centers, like at the Olympia and at the Arnold, when we're live streaming these things, James is having to pay a lot of money for Wi-Fi, for internet access there, because the way the convention centers run it, they don't just have like internet sitting around. They drop a cable to you wherever you're running your internet from. And so they basically charge you for that entire setup and then access for the entire weekend. And there's not like some Wi-Fi setup you can pick for a live stream, because you're talking about 1 megabyte upload speed or something like that, and you're never going to be able to stream a good stream from there with that kind of connection. So there's a lot of money that goes into it from the organizational standpoint just to get this stuff live streamed. So and that is also why there's charges associated with it too, because it's got to be made back. Strongman Corporation essentially only makes money from a few different sources, which is your memberships every year, sponsorships if they come in, and then show fees. But as you can imagine, the equipment, James got a whole new set of Slater logs.
Yep.
If anybody's tried to buy, they're beautiful, but if anybody's ever tried to buy those, you should know those are a pretty penny. Okay. So
what you're saying real quick is that we could just do a full episode on breaking down the economics behind putting one of these together.
Yeah, get James in here because there's a lot. I mean, so and I mean,
I want you.
Yeah, even having run smaller shows myself, the cost of that for a lot of people, if they're not running themselves, they don't have a friend or whatever, it's a lot, man, and so even though we're trying to move to this new standard of like getting people out there and making it exciting for people, and I totally understand that, man, when you're trying to put on a big show like this, you need an MC, you need the crew that's going to run the stream, you got to have internet access, you got to have all the nice cameras set up, you got to have the switch boxes you need to switch between the cameras, you got to have commentators. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, man, so it's getting better, and I think it's been super cool. But when you see progress continuously being made, it would be nice if people will recognize that the progress is happening rather than continuing to be upset about it not being enough.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanna give props to you, James, and everybody who put this together was the fact how quickly y'all posted on social media, kind of like an apology, especially for the open weight class, because those were the ones who were the most negatively impacted by the delays just from a competition of this scale. And I think you told me that you're the one who actually put the wording together for that post.
Well, I help James write up everything that we need for social media, but like something like that, like I operate kind of independently almost for like most of our stuff. Something like that, I had spoken to him and he was already in the works of putting that together. He said, I want to get something out to make a statement to people. I want to get it done quickly so it doesn't look like we're sitting on our butt the whole time. But, he wanted to make sure it was done right as well so that people hopefully felt valued by it. Right. And so, which is always kind of like, if you guys haven't met James or you haven't talked to him, that is like his whole goal. The guy's been competing in strongman for years. And so he's always operating from a competitor standpoint. So, Saturday, man, I mean, it was definitely, you could tell he was upset about it because he knew what he wanted to give to everybody and then knew that we had fallen short. And so I could see he was racking his brain already on trying to make it right, for people. And so he told me, it wasn't even my suggestion on, what happened. He told me, I want to have automatic requalification for the people that didn't make the finals, because people that do make the finals each year, you already get requalified to go back. So essentially, we requalified all of the open competitors, period, to come.
Yeah, so I'll read that part real quick, just to have the exact wording. As an apology to the open competitors who did not make the finals, we are going to waive your competition fee for the 2026 Arnold, and you will also receive automatic bids to compete in the 2026 Arnold.
Yep. I'm just a wordsmith.
I love this because sometimes competitions fall short areas or they overpromise and underdeliver, and then you don't hear a peep from them. And
Right.
then I love how quickly Strongman Corporation right away posted hey, we did fall short. That wasn't the intention. Obviously, variables that were out of our hand came up, but we are working on correcting these for the next time y'all compete in one of the competitions. Because I know how hard everybody was working. I got messages from people that were just saying like, hey, thank you so much for the hard work that everybody was putting together, because they knew that it wasn't that we were just being lazy or anything. It was like we were working so hard to get everybody to do. So great job on the message that y'all are sending to the strongman community. Like, hey, we see how y'all came together for us. We will do better moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't know if you pay attention to the Reddit boards or not, but James is very active on there.
Yep, I saw that.
Interacting with people, and so he wrote an extremely detailed breakdown. Down to answering questions. There were some people that accused the floor of not being loaded properly for the deadlifts. James went to the live stream, took a picture, zoomed in on it, and pointed out which plates were which. And it's not like and that's not like, to understand his personality, that is not like an FU moment. That is how James is. He's very meticulous on things. So like with him going and looking at it, he was going to go verify that regardless. So if it had been wrong, he would have posted the same exact thing and been like, you're right, we fucked up. Like this plate was wrong, Yeah. But
I think I saw that comment on the Reddit thread for the Arnold where he was like, no, I went and double checked it and it was correct. It was just somebody didn't realize that the plates for the 55s and the 45s looked exactly the same from the outside.
Yeah.
Because us voters, we would say, like, say it out loud when you see the plate that it's either a 55 or a 45, just to make sure.
Yeah. Dude, look, man, like, I get the dude's my boss and everything, right? But like, I just feel like seeing the comments that come back and forth, it's just kind of crappy to people. And like knowing the things that I know of like where we're trying to move this in the direction it's trying to go, it's upsetting that people want to just like throw this wall of blame that's associated with like not caring for why things would go wrong. You know what I mean? When really it's just like, honestly, we just didn't have enough time. It just wasn't enough time. We tried to do something really special and really new, and it just wasn't enough time, and it's lessons learned from that. And again, just like we wrote in the post, that doesn't provide an excuse for anything. It's not like we're trying to say like, screw you, we feel for you. Everybody there is pretty much a competitor too. So like, dude, like I get it, man. Like it was shitty. Saturday was shitty. I get it, but we didn't want that either. And we're going to do everything that we possibly can as an organization to not do that again. I mean, I know that for a fact.
Oh, I know for a fact, just from knowing everybody that was part of it. So I got a question for you. We were talking a little bit on the stream. As you know, I asked the athletes about questions that they had for you. Somebody asked the question, the live stream for the Masters Nationals was free, but the Arnold was $20. What can we expect going forward when it comes to the live stream costs and things like that?
And that's good. That kind of hits on like what I was talking about before with just cost and over time being able to absorb those costs in some way, because the organization has to be able to, James is trying to do two things right now at once that are both extremely expensive. One is giving out prize money and actually paying it right away to people, which people have really appreciated so far. We got shouted out for that last year at ASM. Good. Which he dipped into his own personal funds to give to people. Okay. And then exactly. And then the second part is, trying to spend more money on things that are valuable to the community. So, providing a live stream is one of those things, but as we move forward, hopefully we're able to bring on more sponsors as we do more for all these shows. And that will help absorb costs on other places. But I just know that, the $20 for the live stream here, it's due to the acquisition costs of the Wi-Fi. It's just, it's just expensive. It's got to be covered somewhere.
Yep. So speaking of sponsors, though, I know I had a couple of questions from people specifically around sponsors. Is what does it take to be a sponsor for future events of this scale, or any just Strongman Corporation? What's like the best path to become a sponsor for Strongman competitions?
So that's a great question. It's actually part of what my job's supposed to be. So if you were interested in that, please reach out. And my email is just chris@strongmancorporation.com. We're actually going to be I'd already talked to James before the Arnold. We're going to have a meeting post Arnold about putting together another new sponsor deck to let people know how they can get involved with Strongman Corporation around the country. As people know, we've got hundreds of competitions that happen every year. This year right now, while I can't confirm all of them, I know we have at least 7 regional shows, 8 potential pro-ams, and then we still have America's Strongest shows, plus the next year's Arnold. There's a lot of opportunities for people to be involved in sponsoring the organization, which is pretty exciting. And then once we get that sponsor deck together, we'll be able to show people exactly what they can get and for what prices. But if they're interested, just please reach out.
Okay. And I'll make sure to put all that information, one in the caption and then also in the details of the description for this video. So speaking of, things that y'all have thought about for improving, one of the common questions I get asked is, why don't we see more demo videos of the movements that we're going to see at competitions? Filmed and then shared ahead of the competition, so people don't ask as many questions as they do during rules meetings.
Well, I mean, that's a good point. That sounds like something I'm going to get tasked with doing for the next show. Because
you've been at rules meeting and you're like,
I know, man, but let's be honest, okay? I mean, look, if people are actually interested in that, then 100%, comment on this or whatever and let us know, okay? If that's something that you're if doing demonstration videos before a show showing technique that's needed for each movement, if that's going to be something that's necessary to help people out, then let us know. Again, comment on this, and I guess that's something that we can do. Personally, if you came to an Arnold level competition and you don't know the standards for a log press and you couldn't YouTube it before, you're probably not going to watch the video. But, if there are some of you that want it, I mean, I don't mind, so.
Hey, that'd be a good spot for somebody to sponsor those videos too.
Oh boy, like Blue Chew or what's that? Some kind of pump product. Yeah.
Oh man, making things harder than they need to be.
Literally.
There you go. You caught on. All right. I had another question about your performance at the Arnold. They wanted to know what's with the jorts, because you do seem to always wear jorts when I see you.
Yeah, well, so it's actually funny. The reason I started wearing them to begin with was actually because I like them in log press. They're super comfortable for it. Like, I don't like the neoprene stuff, and I don't like regular training shorts for it. I like some kind of terry cloth or like the jorts, because when they get wet, they don't slip. So when you place a metal log on jorts, it actually it's like an in-between regular shorts and the grip shorts that you buy that help you cheat. So the grip shorts are cheating, man. I mean, if you can't lap the log, if you're not strong enough to actually pull it into yourself, you're probably not strong enough to press it. But neither here nor there. I've used them before too. So yeah. That was a comment by Bobby Thompson, by the way. He told me I had a weak back when I worked out with him once because I was having problems locking it in.
And Bobby tells her how it is.
Hey, dude, when I freaking was sitting there, I was standing next to Bobby freaking Thompson trying to do log press, and he looked at me and he was like, I was like, well, what do you think the problem is? And he goes, you have a weak fucking back. I was like,
he just tells you you're weak.
I love it. Looking at her, I was like, damn, bro. I just wanted to be like you. But anyways, what was the original question? That sounded like something.
Why is it why is it
I wear them? I started wearing them the first time at competition. I started wearing them the first competition, and people took a bunch of silly ass photos of it, and I was just like, you know what? I'll keep doing. They're comfortable to wear all day, so it's like wearing underwear except with a zipper.
But it's a nice snug fit. So I got a question from you from one of my promoters in Colorado. Is there Any way Strongman Corporation could provide marketing guides help smaller promoters increase signups. I've seen a few really cool comps canceled due to a lack of signups. So is there like a marketing or a pamphlet that says like best practices to promote competitions?
There is not one right now, but that's definitely a great idea, which I will take to Katie and talk to her about. If you guys don't already know, Katie Feely has taken a position as like our new head of amateur promotions. So I work really closely with her to kind of like figure out how we're moving forward with Strongman Corporation contests across the country. One of the things that we're going to be doing moving forward, we just needed to get past the Arnold so that we can implement it, is that we are going to try to assist people in promoting their shows with our social media. So the way that that's going to look, before what had happened was there was kind of like no, I don't personally have access to anything more than normal people do in terms of like the website. So I can't really see like if you're applying for a contest or it just got approved or whatever, I can't see that on my end. All I can see is like what you can see when you go on Strongman Corporation. We are creating a document that like everybody in the head office is going to be able to view so that I know, and she already shared part of it with me. Like whenever she's inputting a contest that's even being reviewed, I'll be able to see that. What's going to come with that is we kind of want to do every month at the beginning of the month, everybody. So if it's January, okay, everybody that has a contest in February and March, so the next month and the month after that, not for the month of January because it's already too late because there might be a contest on the first weekend of January. Yeah. So it'll be a month or two ahead of time. That first Monday of that month, we're going to make a post with a carousel of all the different contests that are coming up over those next 2 months. So, but that is going to require the promoters actually contact me, send me, you know, their logo or whatever of the contest, and just a small little brief description of the show, where it is and what date, right? And so again, my email is chris@strongmancorporation.com. You just have to email me that information. That's going to be it's going to be communicated now. The problem is, you know, we do state chair meetings. Katie does them every month or every so often when she needs to, and just not enough of the state chairs show up. And so, not to be too brutal here, Yoni, but like,
Chris, real quick, you said state chair for somebody who's new to Strongman, and then people that aren't familiar with the structure of Strongman Corporation. Who's the state chair? How do they become a state chair? And what's their role?
So when you go to strongmancorporation.com, you can actually go look up the state chairs. The state chairs are required to be at every show. A promoter does not have to be a state chair, but they can be one in the same thing. Okay. So like here in Texas, Derek Owens up in Mesquite and me down here in Houston, we are both state chairs and also promoters. So we put on our own shows, and then we also are the chair for the show, meaning that we are in charge of like making sure that everything is following the rules as set forth by the organization in terms of like how people compete and everything like that. And then we make sure that it all gets submitted to head office appropriately. So state chair is kind of in charge from SC to make sure that the recorded part of the show goes well, right?
It's like quality control.
Correct. Yes. Okay. So you have to have one there. But if you want to promote a show, let's say you are somebody here in Houston and you say, I really want to do a Strongman Corporation show. You don't have to be a state chair for that, but you do have to contact one of the state chairs on the list and get them to your show. Okay. And it is outlined in the rules of wanting to promote a show, which you can find that on strongmancorporation.com too, when it goes through like how to license a show with Strongman Corporation. So, and there are rules in there on like what you're supposed to compensate the state chair with and everything like that as well. So you can be both or you can be one. You can become a state chair, but you have to ask head office. So that's something you would have to actually reach directly out to. I would just reach out to Katie for that because she is now she's the filter for all the amateur promotions. So,
and what's her contact info?
It would be Katie at strongmancorporation.com. That's Katie.
Perfect. Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
So again, you were talking about how not enough of the state appointees have been showing up to these meetings that are monthly.
Honestly, I'm just it's an accountability thing for a lot of these promoters. So, if you want your show promoted, you have to reach out to me, right? That's my job, is to push our social media presence. So if you want to be included on these lists, you got to reach out to me so that I can push it. Not everybody knows about this yet, so it's still something that we're actively working on dispersing that information to people with. But that is kind of our future going forward. So we're going to make a post about. I am going to make a post about that this coming week, just to discuss. Hey, this is what we're looking for. It'll all be written out in there, so that people can understand. And then here going forward, that's how we're going to start pushing out and helping people with their shows. We're also going to unroll a couple other things for content. Katie and James have both, all of us really as a unit here, really want to start bringing to light more of the accomplishments of amateurs. Okay. Our whole goal as an organization is to provide a place to compete and to excel to the next level. Right. That is why James has worked so hard to get the Giants Live invite last year from ASM. And that's why he managed to get the Arnold Pro invite from the Arnold this year. And there are a lot of other really cool things that he's actively working on that, can't be confirmed or anything right now, but he's trying to do more to give us avenues to go from the amateur level to that pro level. And that's awesome. But most of us stop at amateur, right?
Yep.
And so, I love that. I still love seeing a 315 deadlift PR just as much as I do a 900-pound one. In fact,
PR is a PR. A PR is
right.
man. Yep.
Dude, the first time that I pulled 405, that is one of the greatest lifts of my life, because it is something I chased for so long and I felt like I would never get there. And then when I finally pulled it, I was like, oh my God, I'm really strong now, and then like the rest of the numbers come and go, but like kind of once you start getting to the point where you're deadlifting heavier, you're getting stronger and stronger, it just means something different. The first time you hit that big number that was always in your head, that's a huge moment for you, right? And so one of the things I want to bring forward, Cerberus has their Friday fails. I want to bring forward Saturday successes. And so we're coming up with a collection process where people can submit to the page their successes from the week, from like, let's say Monday to Wednesday. And then I'm going to comb through those and post those for people.
I love that.
And to highlight it for our amateur competitors. And that can be something, I don't care if it's at a contest or at the gym. It just needs to be real, and it needs to have some passion in it, because that's what we want to bring forward, is that excitement that people are getting from those successes. So,
and a good story, because that's also part of the PR. A good story behind like the deadlift or the log press or something along those lines.
Heck yeah! The best lift of my life that I've had in strongman was the 400-pound log press that I had after I tore my ACL. I tore my ACL in December, the end of the year, now almost like 2.5 years ago. And I never thought I would have the courage to get underneath that kind of weight again after it could have, honestly, could have killed me the way that it failed out. And I just managed to bail correctly. And so getting back underneath that kind of weight after essentially rehabbing for what felt like forever, and being able to press it, even feeling the instability in that knee as I was doing it, that's one of the greatest accomplishments I'll ever have. I don't care what level I could get to after this. The feeling that I had when I finished that was incredible, because it's just what you overcome to get there. So that's the kind of stuff I want to see. That's the kind of stuff I want to put out there. We get it. I love, I'm sure anybody can tell, I love the characters that we have in the organization, and I try to highlight them. And you guys have seen a lot of them. Andrew Hanus from last year, Hannah Coldiron, Aiden Howell, people like this, that they bring a lot of emotion to the contest, right? They're silly and everything, But
So real
don't get
quick,
it twisted. I want to see everybody else's, big moments too. We gotta be able to bring them in so that I can push them out and everybody else can see them.
Aiden Howell actually has a question for you.
Oh boy.
Specifically for you. He says, why haven't y'all highlighted his video of dropping an elbow on the log from the Arnold?
I don't know if Aiden knows this or not, but we were kind of working on some PR stuff, post Arnold. Everything is saved. I have so many cool videos and stuff like that from everybody that competed that I am still going through. Honestly, I have way more content from this Arnold than I did the last one. I am super excited to
Yeah, you were running around everywhere, especially
between
the firefighter show and then the pro-am and everything. So
I did 8.7 miles. I did 8.7 miles on Saturday, which is wild in a convention center.
It's crazy. So, Chris, real quick, a lot of the answers that you've been giving me so far have been about further extending the structure within Strongman Corporation, adding more documents that give people a guide on how to better perform in their in the competitions that they put together, or as a state representative, right? So what one of the questions I get on a consistent basis that I actually don't know the answer, but people know that I have conversations with people like you and James and other promoters. What does it take to put a pro-am show together? Because there wasn't clarity exactly like, hey, what does it take for me to be like, hey, I want this show to be a pro-am? What are the requirements for this? What do I have to put up to put the show together? Can you clarify what that process looks like if the process is already, in writing?
Well, we do have standards and steps that I know Katie is actively working on, and these are all things that are going to be pushed out more. And I'm sure they're already shared when people ask, right? But great example would be, the very first thing you have to do a pro-am show is that you have to have already promoted shows before with Strongman Corporation and have been good at them. So there are a lot of people that have tried to throw different shows. Some of them are successful, some of them are not. If you're somebody that's thrown 2 shows and the first one was kind of rough and your second one was okay, you probably should throw maybe a couple more shows before you try to do a pro-am.
Okay.
Our purpose of doing the pro-ams is to provide an opportunity for amateur athletes to compete against professional ones. The important part about that is that, if it's your second or third show and nobody knows who you are yet and you don't have that lineage of success, it's going to be really hard for us to get pros to come and trust that contest is going to go well. I mean, we had, again, just look at this last weekend, we had the most experienced people we could possibly have, and we still had issues. So, it's kind of like a don't bite off more than you can chew type of thing until you're ready. We have to have, I know that it has to have certain weight classes. So, and they have to be in kilos whenever they're listed out, right? So the men, it's 80s, 90s, 105s, and opens. And for women's, it's the 64s, 73s, 82s, and opens. Oh, nailed it. And so normally, and they're all a little bit different. Okay. So like normally they should have 2 or more classes in them. Obviously that's kind of case by case. As a promoter, that's something you have to discuss with Katie and James. The event is supposed to be live streamed because we're trying to push those shows to be, just below our national level contests, right? So that is how we want that to be. We're trying to set a standard in prize money because there's always supposed to be prize money at these shows. So there's the first part where you have the registration fee for a pro-am is $1,000. And then on top of that, you're going to have to put out money for the prize money for your competitors. So there is quite a bit more financial requirement from the promoter. The classes all have to be approved by head office that you're going to select. All of your events as normal need to be approved beforehand. You make money differently as a pro-am promoter because you can't charge pros registrations. Pros
Oh, okay.
Yeah, once you have your pro card in Strongman Corporation, you do not pay competition fees anymore. So but you also can't compete in local shows, right? So pro-ams are our national level events, right? And venues are going to be critiqued too. Don't want it in somebody's backyard. It needs to be like, I went to the Vegas Pro last year, and Ronnie Bennikin did a good job with that one. It was in front of a Harley Davidson dealership. It was actually a pretty cool place to have the show. Yeah, we did logs. We did log and deadlift inside the Harley David dealership on the floor. It was pretty cool. Yeah, with all the motorcycles around and everything. I wish he should really figure out something to do with like a motorcycle carry for the yoke race, because I mean, you're at a Harley.
You could just do like great little frames that they can be in, and they're not going to touch from there, and just do like yoke runs. Okay, so from what I'm hearing is the requirements are going to be obviously having enough experience putting competitions together with a good history about it. There's a financial commitment based on what you just said. And then there's specific weight classes that you have to choose from. And then presentation / venue is also important, because it doesn't necessarily have to be at a traditional venue like we've seen at like Nationals or the Arnold or anything, but the presentation has to be something that looks like effort was put into it. It's not just, like you said, somebody's backyard.
Correct. We're trying to turn this thing into something that's we want the pro-ams to be really good shows. And there are some people that are putting on really excellent pro-ams out there that we've already seen several years now. I mean, just look at Olympic City. That's been a really great one that they've put on a great show with. The Rainier Classic, another really great one. I'm not familiar with all of them, right? So if there's been another one that's been awesome, the Vegas one, I appreciated that one. So people are really trying to push to that next level for sure. And we really appreciate that, because that's what we want to bring people. It should be, your local level show. You should still have a good experience there and everything, but then you should be able to make a leap to a regional or to a pro-am. And then, from there, when you go to a pro show, if you beat pros and you're the highest placing amateur, you get your pro card. But, everybody else that's up there also gets an Arnold invite, right? So there's lots of these different paths, regionals, pro-ams, they can both get you Arnold invites. So
the last clear requirement that you kind of mentioned was it has to be streamed, right? For a pro-am show.
And again, it's all case by case, but that's kind of like, that is what we're looking for, right?
The standard. Yep.
Yes.
And then
that's something that would I'm not sure if I think they're still solidifying like exactly what they want, because Katie has been it's been really awesome. Katie has taken the time. She's building out all brand new documents for this stuff to give to people, so that now there's no more questions. Like if you want to know how to run a pro-am, she's literally building like word for word, line for line. This is how you do a pro-am. It even talks about like the steps to talk to her and everything. Like she is making this stuff like nice and clear and concise. And so, that stuff will be available to everybody to just go read so that they can figure it out.
I got a question for the Pro-Am or for any competitions. Is there a specific list of sponsors that promoters are allowed to use, or can they use anybody that is willing to sponsor their competition?
It's right now it's a free for all whenever you put on it.
Good.
That's part of your documentation. We don't have any sponsors that are grassroots level, so to speak, with, I had spoken with some about trying to get them to sponsor the entire organization and then having that involved in all of the shows that happen year round too, at a much higher level. But, as of right now, whenever you put on your show, pro-am, amateur or not, it's kind of free for all. So obviously you should not have like, hopefully it's not like Cindy's as your sponsor. You know what I mean? Like, even then, honestly, I don't know. I guess it's a question for head office there, because I'm always, hey man, the type of guy I am, get your money. You know what I mean?
So you've touched on a couple of different people that are making Strongman Corporation or helping improve on what James took over. Can you touch on the key relationships that are being built to help Strongman Corporation grow? Like, what are some of the new additions that you've mentioned, Katie? Are there any other key relationships that y'all are building? I think maybe Iron Vision Media. I feel like they've been consistently y'all's live stream partner for these big competitions. Can you talk?
Yeah,
can you just talk on how these relationships are being built?
I mean, James just wants to build, a well-oiled machine, obviously, because it makes it a heck of a lot easier on him. And so I know Chance has been like really phenomenal, and Eric, and I'm really bad with names. So the fact that I've remembered two of them already is like super impressive for me.
Yeah, so it's Chance, Eric Gonzalez from Iron Vision.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Vision.
And they've been working together with us now on several shows, and it looks like going forward too. And we're trying to do more cool things with them too. It's prolonged, being able to work with somebody for a longer period of time obviously allows you to become more comfortable with them and to develop new things that you can do together. So like, the athlete cards that we've been putting out and the information that we want to put on display during these live streams is really what we want to do from now on, all the time. So that's why we're connecting with them and keeping them on board for a longer period of time. Katie being brought on board made total sense because if you could imagine, here's a little bit of perspective. After the Arnold on Sunday, when I woke up and I opened Instagram, it just said plus 99, right, or whatever it was, whatever the cap was on the thing for notifications, right? And I just looked at it and was like, that's cool, and so the issue is like, imagine that's just social media. That doesn't count emails. That doesn't count like regular stuff that's going on every day.
WhatsApp, because I know there's a group for that too.
Yeah, and so James, brought on Katie so that she could help out with a lot of that stuff, and she's basically doing a lot of that front office work now. So, and she's a really good point of contact now too. If you have questions at all about the amateur side of it. In terms of the other stuff, I know that he has been actively working, obviously, with the Arnold to get better involvement there because we're keep trying to grow World's Strongest Firefighter, and at the same time, we're trying to grow the amateur side of the contest even more by expanding the amount of time that we have to compete there. So it'll be really interesting to see next year kind of what we're bringing to the table in terms of I have an idea of it, but I can't tell you. Give
me the goods, Chris. Give me the goods.
Of ideas, no sir. Of ideas to
this
make
isn't being
better,
recorded. Right? It's okay. You can tell me in confidence.
I'm not special enough for that. Okay, I'm not the guy doing the work, so I don't get to do the announcement.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't take that from somebody else. That's messed up.
So, that is not your story to tell.
That's right. When James has the news, James will give the news. So.
All right. So Chris, real quick question. I noticed behind you have a bunch of like medals and it looks like lanyards, and tell me a little bit of that because that looks like a good story.
It's my collage wall. So it's like to keep a bunch of stuff up here. So like over here, there we go. These are like medals and stuff.
You've competed that many times?
I've competed many times, but most of those are not mine.
You stole it from somebody.
No, actually, I collect those. So, Derek has asked me to help out with his shows up at Battle Axe in Dallas. He's asked me to help out a couple of his shows. I help judge, and I've done commentary for him. And with the North Texas Strength Expo that's coming up this summer, that I'll be commentating at again for him. And my price to do that stuff has always been the same, which has been I want one of the medals. And because it's just I write on the back what I got to do for the show on there. And I also have medals on there from shows that I have done as a promoter myself. I just think it's a cool way to remember the event kind of more than the shirt, because since I change body sizes all the time, my shirts aren't really all that great. I don't know whether or not I'm supposed to buy a 4, a 3, or a 2XL. It just kind of depends on the mood that I'm in for the last 2 weeks. And then I've got over here, these are the lanyards and stuff from the national level shows that I've gotten to do since I've been a part of Strongman Corporation. And I have some stuff that hasn't been put up yet because I don't have a lanyard for it, like the national championships in 2024. I just don't have something to put that on.
And I see that you're wearing the firefighter show, the World's Strongest Firefighter shirt. You also have that on.
Yeah. You got to collect the shirts, man. You know what I mean?
Dude, then, look, I'm wearing my Arnold shirt.
Yeah, all this stuff. This is all raving stuff. I like to go
raving strongman.
Yeah, I like to go listen to robot noises.
Robot noises.
And stomp around like a dinosaur. So it's just how.
No, I love that. That's a good story. That's a lot of history that you have with Strongman. That's not even including, like you said, some of the things that aren't even up there yet. I got 2 more questions for sure. Real quick, will America's Strongest Masters be in Florida again?
So I know right now, and nothing is confirmed yet. So James just let me know that the conversation is for it to Masters to be done the first week of September, and for Nationals to be done the second week of September. The conversation for those both is for Vegas. So,
but it's not confirmed. You said
it's not confirmed. Do not buy any tickets. Do not plan on it. I asked him. It's just what's in the talks. So,
okay.
It's not like nobody needs to be running around doing anything crazy yet. There's a lot of stuff that goes into planning this, especially when James is trying to make sure that it's all streamed and all that stuff for next year. Really can't do it at like the Las Vegas Convention Center again and spend $6,000 again on more live stream. Can you imagine?
Expensive Wi-Fi bill.
Man, by Sunday, if I had to ask James for something, or he's just at that point, just like pulling out his card, just like, here you go, dude.
Just put it on my tab. Last question. For qualifying for nationals, let's say you competed as a super heavyweight, you qualified for nationals. Can you compete at the 265, or can you only qualify at the? Can you only compete at the weight class you qualified at for nationals?
You can always go up or down one weight class.
Okay.
Actually, if you wanted your most bang for your buck as a man, you'd qualify as a 265, because then you could technically
up one, down one.
Yeah, you could technically do or 120, right? You could technically do 105 or open if you decided to have too many Oreos. So like you get a choice there.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for the clarification there.
You're welcome for the clarification.
And thank you for sharing all this information, the behind the scenes of Strongman Corporation, the Arnolds, everything that's going into creating that structure for people to be able to be more successful as an athlete or as a promoter. Any last thoughts before we end this?
Pretty hungry right now.
What's your go-to cheat meal after a long weekend of like helping put together a show?
Oh man, I got to admit, I am not a very healthy cheat meal person. Like I know people, they're like, I know it sounds stupid, but I mean, you meet some people and they're like, oh man, what's your cheat meal? Like, oh, sushi. Or like, oh, what's your cheat meal? Hamburger. And like, most of those things aren't terrible, right?
Oh my gosh, how bad is it?
It's pretty bad. Like, I really like Jack in the Box tacos.
Oh,
yeah, the dog food and a fried fucking.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Like, I'll literally order 10 of them, which is $10, and it's 20 tacos because they're paired.
Yeah.
And get the disgusting taco sauce they have there, and then I just sit over my kitchen counter and watch TV and eat all of them.
Your poor bathroom.
I lost 26 pounds at the Arnold this last weekend.
Oh, so you got dude. Yeah.
Who needs food when
you're doing 8.6 miles a day?
Yeah, who needs food when you could just be excited for the success of others? You know what I mean? Jesus Christ.
Wow. All right, Chris, thanks so much for being on here. It was a pleasure. Where can people find you?
You can find me at the Chris Matos on Instagram. It wasn't my first choice. Okay, somebody else took my name, and and that's pretty much it on all the social platforms.
Then I'll have your email posted for any Strongman Corporation related questions. And then I'll also put oh, when are y'all gonna post that Pro-Am document that Katie's working on? Is there an ETA?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Figured it out.
I'm not putting no requirements on nobody that works over me. That's not how that works. I'm like, hey, like all everybody has to know, and all I hope anybody takes from any of this, honestly, is that, look, Saturday didn't go that great. We get that, okay? And, we had other little things that happened throughout the weekend, and it sucked to have to change the hoist. And, it sucked to have to take the grip gauntlet out. We get all of that, 100%, okay? But from the time that James took over at the beginning of this to like where we are now, right? There has been nothing but, I would say, continuous effort made in the right direction. You know what I mean? So it's, from adding live streams to James getting that gigantic video board that we use now at the big shows to, prize money trying to go up at each show, new weight classes at the Arnold, the Masters coming to the Arnold, like all these different things. All of these things are improvements. Okay. And so when you make a big leap of faith, oftentimes you need to make a lot of process improvements after the fact when you found out where there's issues. And so that's where we are now. So just like anything, you don't judge people on their first attempt. You judge people on their continuous improvement and work towards being better on the second attempt. Right. And so that's all I'll say, man. People are working very, very hard to try to give the absolute best that they can. And so I believe most of the community really understood that. The outpour of support that I saw on just Instagram alone was really awesome to see that so many people appreciated it and saw all the work that was going down by the way, volunteers, right? I can't say that enough. The people that came out there that were busting their butt Saturday night to make sure that we got to where we were, they were doing that for free. So again, just huge shout out again to the Strongman community at large, for everybody that was involved. Thank you so much. And I just know it's going to keep getting better. So that's where my faith is at.
All right. You heard it from Chris, the raving strongman Matos. Thanks again for being on here. Go get some food, and I will talk to you at the next show. See you, bud.
Later, bud.